No, I was involved. I went in and talked to them, but I do that every game. I talk to the team. I think it's important that you have a conversation with your group after the game, and tonight was just a little bit longer because I asked a few questions on how they felt, that's all.
What was your message?
It wasn't my message. I was listening to what they had to say. I didn't deliver any message. I just was kind of asking the questions, and I wanted to hear how they felt about what was going on.
Randy, what's the message to the fans? We asked the players inside the dressing room to sort of assess the level of frustration in there, and they had some trouble doing it. You could really hear the fans tonight. Is there any message? Is there anything you can say as coach to the people?
Well, we appreciate our fans' support and the loyalty that they have shown our hockey club, and it's historic. This was one of the most storied franchises in the sport, and we can't fault our fans for the displeasure that they displayed and the way we played tonight. That's basically that's what they're allowed to do that, and that's their right.
When you took this job, you mentioned you thought from the outside this team lacks some confidence. Now that you've been on the inside, you think that's the case?
Very much so. Very, very much so. We're making mistakes that are giving the opposition the goals. If you look at the 2 goals that they scored in the hockey game, one to tie it 1-1 and the other one to tie it 2-1, we had pucks that were easily manageable, and we didn't manage them properly. And thus, they got a 2-on-1 on the one, and they were both 2-on-1s. And then we had a bad change on the first one, and then the second one, we got stripped of the puck, and they ended up 2-on-1 in front of our goaltender. And both goals are scored. If you look at where the goals have been scored of against our group, those are critical area goals that we've had. I don't know. Don't want to say great success, but I'd say minimal success in defending that area to a stricter level. And the last 2 games specifically, we have not.
Is that across the board with the confidence, or are there some positives you can take from this one? I know last night you couldn't think of one meeting.
Well, I think from tonight, the positive. Well, we scored 2 goals in the hockey game that we were in the hockey game, but it just seemed that the mistakes that we made zapped the energy from our group by forcing ourselves to play too much defensive zone coverage. And it's hard when you're playing and you're playing in your own zone for better parts of the second period. I think it started for us that we didn't really create any offensive zone time for ourselves through turnovers, through lack of execution in the neutral ice, and then they played the cycle game, the offensive zone time, and then we started to take penalties.
How much was the fragility of tonight carried over from last night? You played a pretty solid game Saturday night.
Yeah, I know, and then that's what you try to capture. Where does it go? And I think part of last night, the mental aspect of it has some lingering effects, and hopefully that the physical aspect didn't. But I thought we had enough energy and showed it and demonstrated early in the hockey game, but it was our inability to create any fun time. It's a lot more fun, obviously, to play in the offensive zone. And when you're continually having to play defense, it wears your group down. And then I think you could see that our execution level dropped at that point, and we became, play defensive zone coverage, get it out into the neutral ice, and change. And then the next group come on, and they would dump it in, and they would have be forced to do the same thing.
What were some of the answers you heard in general?
Well, usually what happens in the dressing room stays in the room, and if the players would like to tell you, then I think it would be their issue, not mine, because that's what I said. I asked the question how they felt and what they had to say. I think it's important that it stays within the group.
Randy, along those lines, I don't know if you want to talk, but did you sense despondency or more anger after the game?
I think disappointment. They were disappointed in the way they played.
Now that you're back, any updates on your injury guys when they might be?
No, everything is just basically status quo. Brown, I think, will skate here in the next little while. I wouldn't say tomorrow, but he's probably close to starting to skate. I think Lupul has got another week or so, 10 days or so before he's going to be allowed to skate. I think his time frame was the 3 to 4 week, and I think we're heading to close to week 3 now.
Was Brown's a bit more serious? Was he was...
No, Brown had just had a deep thigh contusion, basically a deep bruise in his thigh area that tightened up, and then he had the stitches in the hand from the fight in Montreal, but that wasn't the reason he was out. He was out because of the deep thigh bruise in Pittsburgh, first shift.
Randy, what's your priority here in the next couple of weeks? What's the main thing you want to accomplish here?
Well, the first thing is I want to get an understanding. I want to make sure that they understand that there's a way that we expect them to play from a defensive aspect. I think that's the first and first thing on the list is the competitiveness that we've been able to display for periods of time is another area that's going to be expected for the 60 minutes. That there is a template that we are trying to create as a coaching staff that we want people to make sure that there's no gray areas on what is going to be expected.
Closer to it after tonight?
No, not after tonight. I'm sorry, I can't. I think that we've made some strides in certain times of the game that we've played, and we've made strides in that area, but I don't think that you could say as a coach, when you lose the game the way we did last night and the game that we lost today, that we are making the strides that are necessary to be successful.
I guess I mean after the session here, after the game, in terms of the attitude and the mentality, do you feel you're closer or farther away from being able to achieve what you want to?
Well, I think that there's more recognition from the players' part of an understanding of some of the things that are going on out there, but I think as a coaching staff, it's something that we have to make sure that it becomes first nature, not second nature, or not third nature, that this is the way it's going to be and this is the way we're going to have to play, and these are examples. And when we've done it, we've had some success, or we've been able to create a good feeling around the reward for the work ethic that they've put in. And right now, it seems like the confidence level is very close to the first game that I coached in Montreal. It seems like it goes away on this group.
Is this group capable of playing the way you would like a hockey team to play?
Well, they've done it for games. Yeah, I think they are.
In games, turnovers, every team turns it over, every team hopes to take advantage. Why, in your time here, have you been able to pinpoint why it is when this team makes that line change mistake like you made tonight, or the turnover that Phil made on the goal? Why did those things end up in your net so often?
Well, I think the one thing that happens is people start pressing. You know, when you make a turnover, it's because you're trying to do more, or you're reading the situation differently than what, you know, is the staple that you're supposed to play to. Like in the games that we've had success, and I'm just going to talk about the Tampa and the Ottawa game, we were much better with puck management in the neutral ice. We made good decisions, didn't matter what the score was. We continued to make good decisions, and that's not to take away that what we talked about before was if there's an opportunity for a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1, you have the green light to go. But if it's in a tight hockey game and it's 2-on-2, our expectations are the puck is to be put into an area that we can get in on the forecheck and create more offensive zone time. But what happens is in situations when things aren't going well and you're down by a goal, players out of normal character are trying to do too much. They try to do too much. They take the responsibility upon themselves to try and make the difference.
Without repeating what was said, were you able to get a sense of where they're at, where they're being?
Well, I just think I talked to, they're disappointed. They're disappointed in the way they played. I think, I think again tonight was a situation where he was part of our team. He made some mistakes, and I thought that a couple of times that he did look nervous, but then he did make some big stops for our hockey club. And I think the one thing that the goaltending situation here is mirrors the group. And, you know, and that's as realistic as I can pinpoint, is that the team is, and they're part of the team, and the team's had its fair share of ups and downs, and we just are looking for more consistency out of our group.
And this market hasn't changed much since you played here. Are young players coming off with an extreme example last night in Boston? Are they afraid to make a mistake in front of the crowd here sometimes? Does that become all-encompassing?
I think what happens is that the snowball effect of mistakes becomes magnified, because in tonight's game we did play decent hockey, and then we started to have to play more defensive hockey, and it just kind of wore us back down, and young players included, you know. Like the execution of the defensive zone face-off, where we threw the puck out of the playing surface, we won the face-off. You know, and we didn't execute the things that we're capable of doing in that situation. It's unfortunate. I'm sure Matt Fratton didn't want to throw the puck out of the rink. You know, nobody does. But that's what happened in that specific situation. But you have to look at it. We won the face-off, and we were in possession of the puck.